Here's something I wish I'd known sooner: always sign a prenuptial agreement. My name is Kevin. Subscribe to the channel, and let's dive into the story. I always knew Vanessa, my wife, had a thing for the finer things in life: fancy handbags, 5-star dinners that cost more than my car payment. She never tried to hide it. But I never expected it to go this far. That night, I sat her down on the leather couch, yeah, the one she made sure we bought because, in her words, it screamed success. I looked her straight in the eye and said it as calmly as I could: I lost my job today. Thing is, that wasn't true. Not even close. My consulting business had already taken off and was making more than my old mid-level management job ever did. But Vanessa didn't know that. I needed to find out who she really was when the money disappeared. At least, when she thought it had. Her reaction felt like getting hit in the gut. No tears, no questions about what we'd do next. Just a smirk, that little twist in her mouth like she'd been waiting for this moment. Well, she said, leaning back and crossing her arms like she was done playing the role, you lost me too. I want a divorce. I just stood there, stunned. It took a second for her words to sink in, like trying to process bad news underwater. I'd had my suspicions for a while: her staying out late, the vague excuses, that unfamiliar perfume, but hearing her say it flat out. That was brutal. Why? I asked, even though deep down, I already knew the answer. I needed to hear her say it, to confirm what I'd feared. She didn't even blink. I married you for the money. No money, no love. That's it, she said, like she was reading off a shopping list. Cold. Mechanical. Then she stood up, grabbed her phone, and started texting. I'm going to Travis's. We're done. Travis. That name didn't shock me. I'd spotted his flashy Mercedes parked outside our house once. She'd claimed it was a client dropping off paperwork. I let it slide back then, too tired, or maybe just didn't want to believe it now. Now it all clicked. You're really leaving? Just like that? I asked, my hands tightening into fists by my sides. She didn't even glance up from her phone. What's the point in staying? You can't give me what I need anymore. And with that, she walked off to the bedroom, tossed some clothes into a bag, and headed for the door. I could have stopped her right there. I could have come clean and told her I hadn't lost anything. That I was making more than ever. That it was a test, and she just failed, but I didn't. I just stood there, watching her heels click across the hardwood floor I paid for, and then the door slammed shut behind her, and suddenly, everything was quiet. Too quiet. I sank back onto the couch, my mind spinning, my eyes stuck on the empty space where she'd been. Her words just kept bouncing around in my head. No money. No love. A part of me wanted to run after her, to throw the truth in her face and tell her she blew it, but another part, maybe the smarter part, felt something unexpected: relief. Like a weight had lifted off my chest, and I could finally breathe. I'd spent 5 years thinking we were building something real. Believing she cared about me, not my paycheck. Turns out I was wrong. I reached for my laptop on the coffee table and flipped it open. The screen lit up with emails from real clients. Actual work. Not the nonsense she pretended Travis dropped off. My consultancy wasn't just some side hustle anymore, it had become my future. I started it a year earlier, sick of the corporate grind, and to my surprise, it took off like wildfire. Just last week, a tech startup out in Seattle signed a 6-figure deal with me. Vanessa didn't know a thing about it. She never asked. She was too busy shopping and planning her next escape. I leaned back, ran a hand through my hair, and let it all settle in. That lie I told her. It was risky. But it gave me the truth I needed. Vanessa was never my partner. She was just a tenant who stopped paying rent, and now she'd moved out. Let her go to Travis. Let her think she came out on top. I didn't need her fake tears or half-baked excuses. What I needed was the truth, and now I had it. Still, the silence in the house hit hard. I'd built this place with her in mind, for the life we were supposed to share. And now it was just me. I thought about calling my brother Miles, telling him everything, but I held back. This moment. It was mine to deal with, for now. I got up, walked into the kitchen, and poured myself a glass of the whiskey she always turned her nose up at. Said it wasn't refined enough. I raised the glass to the empty room. To freedom, I muttered, and took a sip. It burned going down, in the best way. Like hitting reset. I didn't know what would come next, probably divorce papers and whatever drama Vanessa was about to cook up with Travis. But I knew one thing for sure: I wasn't broken. Not even close. She thought she left me with nothing. She was wrong. I still had my business. I still had my pride. And I had way more fight in me than she ever gave me credit for. Let her run. Let her believe she won, because I was about to show her what winning really looked like, and right there in that quiet room, with that glass of whiskey in my hand, I made up my mind. This wasn't the end. It was the beginning. 3 months after Vanessa walked out, I was a different man. Not just because I'd traded the cookie-cutter house in the suburbs for a sleek apartment downtown, or because I was shaking hands with CEOs instead of babysitting middle managers. Nah, it went deeper than that. I wasn't looking over my shoulder anymore, waiting for her to show up with some weak apology and teary excuse. I didn't care what she did, where she went, or who she was with, and let me tell you, there's real power in not giving a damn. That morning she left, I raised a glass of whiskey to freedom. Now I was actually living my business. It wasn't just surviving, it was blowing up. That startup out in Seattle. Yeah, they doubled their deal with me after I cleaned up their entire operation. Word spread fast. Suddenly, I had a waiting list: retail chains, app developers, even a high-end law firm with an office so polished it made my old cubicle life feel like ancient history. I hired 2 assistants, rented out a corner office with a skyline view, and kissed my beat-up sedan goodbye. Traded it for a black Audi that drove like confidence bottled in an engine. People at networking events started recognizing me. You're that guy, they'd say. The one who turns chaos into cash. I liked that. Had a nice ring to it. I moved on in other ways, too. The house. Gone on the market the week after she left. Too many ghosts in those walls, her voice nitpicking about curtains, countertops, whatever. I didn't need that space anymore. My new place. All glass and steel, clean lines, quiet corners. Just mine. I got back into the gym, too, something I'd let slide during the marriage. Felt good to sweat, to see definition in the mirror again. I looked like someone in control. Because I went on a few casual dates, nothing serious. Just coffee or drinks with women I met through work, smart, independent, interesting. But I kept my guard up. Vanessa had made sure of that. Still, she wasn't entirely gone. Not yet. The divorce. It was in the works. My lawyer, Tasha, tough as nails, exactly who you want in your corner, was handling it. But Vanessa hadn't signed the papers. She'd sent me one text. A week after she bolted. Something vague about needing time to think. I didn't bother replying. Let her think all she wants, with Travis. I had bigger things to focus on. That afternoon, I just stepped out of a client meeting, a boutique hotel chain, sharp people, when I spotted something strange. My Audi, parked out front like usual, and across the street, there she was. Vanessa. She froze mid-step, like she'd just seen a ghost. Her eyes locked on the car. I slipped into the cafe doorway before she noticed me and watched through the window. She looked different. Hair kind of a mess. No designer purse on her arm. She squinted at the plates, then pulled out her phone, typing away fast. I smirked. She'd figured it out. I'd kept my success low-key on purpose. Didn't want her sniffing around. But in a city this size, secrets don't stay buried. Some of her old friends, mutuals, really, had started asking questions. One of them cornered me at a bar a few weeks back. Heard you're killing it, Ethan. What's the story? I just shrugged it off, played it cool. But the whispers must have reached her. And now here she was, putting the puzzle together. The Audi was her proof. She used to hate my old car, called it an embarrassment. This one. She would have drooled over it. I slipped out the side exit before she could spot me and drove off. No need for a showdown, not yet. But it got my mind turning. What was her life like now? Travis, Mr. Mercedes, and smooth talk. He'd looked shiny on the outside, but I'd done a little digging. Called Derek, a mutual buddy, and asked what he knew. Turns out, Travis's little entrepreneur hustle was a mess, maxed out credit, payments behind, blowing up when things got tight. Derek said Vanessa had been over at his place just the week before, venting about Travis's temper and the money troubles. I didn't feel bad for her. She made her choice. Later that night, back in my apartment, I poured a glass of the same whiskey I'd toasted with the day she left and sat by the window, city lights stretching out below me. I'd won, hadn't I? The test worked. I saw her for who she really was. And I'd built something better, without her. So why did I still feel that itch in my chest? Maybe because it wasn't over yet. She saw the car. She knew now, I wasn't some broke loser she could write off. And Vanessa. She didn't like losing. She didn't let go of anything she still thought she could reclaim. I took a sip, let the burn settle me. My phone buzzed. It was an email from Tasha. Vanessa's stalling. Says she wants to talk. I set the phone down, a little harder than I meant to talk. After, no money, no love. After walking out without looking back, she had some damn nerve. I pictured her sitting next to Travis, watching his money vanish, then hearing the rumors about me, my business, my Audi, my life, let her stew in it. I stood up, pacing the room. The test had been mine. My move. But I never really thought about what came after. What if she showed up, tail between her legs? What would I say? I'd told myself I was done. That there was no coming back from what she said. But part of me, some old, bruised part, still remembered her laugh. Her touch. It whispered maybe. I shook that off. That was the old me talking, the guy who let her walk all over him, this new version. He stood tall. He didn't cave. I raised my glass again, this time to the men I'd become, to winning, I said aloud, but as the whiskey slid down, I couldn't shake the feeling, Vanessa wasn't finished. Not by a long shot. And whatever move she had next, I'd be ready. I should have known she wouldn't let go that easy. 3 months of radio silence, and now here she was, standing outside my apartment door on a rainy afternoon, looking like a half-drowned cat that just remembered where the food bowl was. I was right in the middle of a client call when the buzzer rang, the kind of client you don't want to lose, a chain of gyms looking to bring me on board. At first, I ignored the noise, figured it was just another delivery guy hitting the wrong apartment. But then it buzzed again, harder this time, like whoever was out there wasn't giving up. So I checked the camera, and there she was, Vanessa. Eyes swollen, mascara smudged, face a mess. My stomach knotted, but not from sympathy. It was something colder, more like dread. I wrapped up the call and buzzed her in. Not because I was dying to see her again, but because I needed to hear what she had to say. She stepped inside, soaking wet, leaving a trail of water across my hardwood. I didn't bother offering a towel. She looked around, took in the place, the sharp lines of the furniture, the city skyline glowing through the floor-to-ceiling windows, and I saw her jaw tighten. Nice place, she muttered, trying way too hard to sound casual. I leaned back against the kitchen counter, arms folded. What do you want, Vanessa? She didn't respond right away. Instead, she set her bag down, it was some cheap knockoff, not the flashy Gucci she used to carry, and ran a hand through her damp hair. I messed up, she said eventually, eyes locking with mine. I shouldn't have left. I want to come back. I nearly laughed. Not quite, but close. Almost. Instead, I kept quiet, letting the silence press down on her. She stepped closer. I've been hearing about you, about your business. Everyone's talking, Ethan. I had no idea. You never told me. There it was. The shift. The spin. Making it sound like this was my fault somehow. So let me get this straight, I said, keeping my voice level. You bailed when I lost my job, and that's on me. She flinched, barely. Then, right on cue, the tears started. You lied to me, she said, her voice cracking. You made it seem like you were broke. If I'd known about the consultancy, I would have stayed. I thought you had nothing, Ethan. You made me believe that. I clenched my fists, trying not to let the anger boil over. I didn't make you do a damn thing, I told her. You made your choice. You walked. Said there was no money, no love. That came straight from you. She shook her head and moved closer, reaching for my arm. I pulled away. I was confused, she said. Upset. Travis was there and I screwed up. But I love you, Ethan. I always have. Let me fix this. That hit like a cheap punch to the gut. Love. She didn't have a clue what that meant. I thought about all those mornings I made her coffee while she sat there texting, probably Travis. I'd been blind back then. Not anymore. You don't love me, I said, stepping back. You love the lifestyle. And when you thought that was gone, you ran off with the next guy who could pick up the tab. How's that going, by the way? Travis still playing sugar daddy? Her face flushed, and just like that, the tears dried up. He's a jerk, she snapped. And broke. I left him last week. But that's not why I'm here. I mean it, Ethan. We could have a fresh start. You don't have to be alone. That word, alone, hit deeper than I expected. But not deep enough to make me forget what she'd done. I looked at her. Really looked. And what I saw wasn't love. It was desperation. She wasn't here for me, she was here for the Audi, the skyline view, the clients. The life she ditched. No, I said, my voice solid. We're finished. I'd rather be alone than with someone who only cares about what's in my wallet. She froze. Opened her mouth like she was about to fire something back, then shut it. I walked over, opened the door, signed the papers. Vanessa. Tasha's waiting. For a second, I thought she might beg. But she didn't. She grabbed that fake bag, shot me a glare sharp enough to slice through bone, and stormed out. The door clicked shut behind her, and I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. I just stood there for a while, staring at the empty space she'd left behind. My chest hurt, but not for her. It ached for the time I'd lost, the years I wasted trusting her lies, the test. That had been my idea. But I never expected this, her showing up, flipping it all around, making me out to be the bad guy. I picked up my phone and texted Tasha. She showed up. Pushed the divorce through fast. Then I dropped onto the couch, her voice still bouncing around in my head. You tricked me, maybe I had. But if it was a test, she failed it all on her own. Later that night, I poured myself a whiskey and sat by the window, watching the rain trace lines down the glass. I should have felt like I'd won. The business was thriving. My life was back in my hands, but still, something heavy lingered. Vanessa was gone, sure, but she'd left a scar. A sharp little reminder of how quickly she turned her back on me. I took a sip. The burn grounded me. She begged, and I said no. That was real power. That was freedom. Then my phone buzzed. A message from Derek. Heads up. Vanessa's pissed. She's out there talking trash to anyone who'll listen. I smirked, but the smile didn't last long. Trash talk. Let her go for it. I built this life from the ground up, and no one, not her, not Travis, was gonna tear it down. She wanted a fight. She was about to get one. I'd told her to sign and leave, but of course, Vanessa was never the type to exit quietly. A week later, it started. I was in my office, working on a pitch for a new client, this time a coffee shop chain, when my assistant, Lena, peeked her head in. You seen this? She asked, holding up her phone. It was a post on X, some gossip account with a few thousand followers. Ethan Walker's consultancy. Total scam. Charges big, delivers little. There were screenshots attached, emails that looked like they came from me, promising the moon for a pile of cash, then ghosting. All of it fake, but done well enough to make me break a sweat. I didn't need to ask who was behind it. I already knew, Vanessa. She'd promised to talk. And now she'd gone for the jugular. I picked up my phone and called Tasha. She's trying to ruin me, I said, forwarding the post to Tasha. Can we nail her for this? Tasha, calm as ever, didn't flinch. Defamation's tough, she replied. But we'll dig into it. She's probably just dragging her feet on the divorce now, thinking this gives her some leverage. Just hang tight. Hang tight. My inbox was already lighting up like a damn Christmas tree, clients emailing, one even canceling a meeting on the spot. I slammed the phone onto the desk and started pacing. This wasn't just personal anymore. She'd gone after my work, my reputation. The thing I'd built from nothing. The next few days were damage control. I met face to face with my biggest accounts, Seattle Tech, that hotel chain, laid everything out for them. Showed them my actual records, proved the emails were bogus. Most of them stayed, thankfully, but I could feel the shift. The doubt. My name was floating around out there, attached to words like fraud and scam. And I wasn't about to let that stand. I rang up Derek, the guy who first gave me the heads up on Vanessa's little smear campaign. What's she saying? I asked him. He hesitated. She's telling people you played her. That you hid the consultancy to screw her over during the divorce. Said it was all a setup to cheat her out of money. Some folks at bars are buying it. I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. Cheat her? She'd been the one stepping out with Travis, not me. That's when Tasha called back. Found something, she said. I dug through an old joint email account you two used to share. Backed up messages between her and Travis. My heart stopped. How far back? A year, she said. This stuff predates your little test. She was already seeing him. I froze, phone suddenly feeling like it weighed a ton. A year. That was before I ever lied about losing the job. Before any of this mess. My mind flashed through all the signs, the late nights, the sudden business trips, that Mercedes parked out front when I knew it wasn't hers. I'd been blind. Not a fool for testing her, just a fool for not seeing the truth sooner. Send me everything, I said. We're ending this. What Tasha sent was dynamite. Email chains between her and Travis, laughing about his big ideas, talking about sneaking around while I was working late. One even mentioned me by name. Ethan's clueless. Still pays for everything. Any guilt I'd felt over the test. Gone. She'd been playing a game long before I ever did. I forwarded it all to Tasha with one line, use it. Then I got to work. Vanessa wanted a war. I wasn't backing down. I'd hit back harder. The next blow came fast. Some wannabe journalist named Ryan, the type who pokes around startup scenes hoping to make a name for himself, published a hit piece, Consultancy Con. Insider claims fraud. My phone lit up like wildfire. Friends. Clients. Even the guy I spot at the gym. I called Ryan right away, kept my voice level. You've been misled, I said. Meet me tomorrow. I'll show you everything. He agreed, sounded skeptical, but curious. I wasn't just cleaning my name anymore. I was pulling hers through the mud she tried to throw me in. That night, I sat in my apartment, watching the skyline flicker through the rain. 2 more clients had backed off, on hold, waiting to see how it all played out. I poured myself a glass of whiskey, but didn't touch it. I needed my head clear, not clouded. Vanessa thought she could bury me with lies. What she forgot was, I built this from scratch. Every deal, every sleepless night, every damn win was mine. She couldn't take that from me. No one could. A buzz lit up my phone. Tasha, divorce hearings next week. She's dodging, but it's locked in. We have the evidence. Good. I stared at that fake post again, the one with the phony emails. Then I opened her messages, reading them slowly, letting it all sink in. He's boring, Travis. You're the future. I let out a bitter laugh. Boring. I was loyal. I showed up. While she was off chasing shiny things that turned out to be cheap, Travis was broke now. Derek told me his big future was already crumbling. Vanessa had bet on the wrong horse, and when it all came crashing down, she came crawling back to me. And instead of owning it, she doubled down and went after what I built. The next day, I met Ryan at a diner. Simple spot, coffee, waffles, nothing fancy. I handed him a folder. Inside, her emails, my contracts, legit bank statements. All above board. She's lying, I said. Check the dates. She was with him before I ever tested her. This isn't about some job. This is payback. He flipped through the papers, eyebrows slowly rising. This changes things, he said. Give me a day. I gave him a nod, but in my head, I wasn't waiting. Vanessa's next move was already loading. I could feel it. She'd lost Travis. Lost me. And now she was losing control, and desperate people. They get sloppy. That night, my phone buzzed again. Derek, she's showing up at that gala tomorrow, business thing. Running her mouth, dragging your name through the dirt. The gala. I'd been invited. Big names, serious networking, not my usual scene, but now. Now it mattered. She wanted to throw this fight in public. Fine. I'd be there. I set the whiskey down, still untouched, grabbed my suit jacket, and checked my tie. If Vanessa wanted to make a scene, I'd be the one who walked away with the spotlight. She lit the match, but I was bringing the fire. She'd spent the whole week trying to shred my reputation, fake emails, that garbage article Ryan put out, and I wasn't about to let her walk away with the last word. I walked into that gala with my shoulders back and jacket sharp, a folder tucked under my arm like a loaded weapon. If she wanted a war, I was ready to give her one she'd never forget. The place buzzed with small talk and clinking glasses, but I felt the weight of eyes on me. Word had gotten around. Some folks saw me as the hotshot consultant. Others probably whispered, scam. When I passed by. I grabbed a bottle of water from the bar, scanning the room. Derek wasn't kidding. She was there. I spotted her across the floor, deep in a circle of suits, laughing a little too loud, way too rehearsed. She hadn't noticed me yet. So I waited, letting her talk herself deeper into the hole she'd been digging. Ryan, the reporter, slipped in beside me, notepad in hand. "You sure about this?" he asked. I handed him the folder. "Read it. Then watch." He flipped it open, I scanning Vanessa's messages, her affair with Travis, her jabs at me, while I kept mine on her. She was mid-performance, arms flying with some dramatic retelling, when she finally saw me. Her smile slipped for a second, then snapped back into place. She turned back to her audience like nothing had happened. I heard my name drop out of her mouth, sharp and bitter. "He lied to me. He ruined everything," she said, loud enough to turn heads. "His whole business is a sham." That was my cue. I stepped forward, voice steady. "Funny thing, Vanessa, since you're talking about lies." The room went quiet. All eyes turned to me. She froze, fingers tightening around her glass. "I didn't let up. You've been spreading fake emails, claiming I scammed people. Want to tell everyone why?" She opened her mouth, but I was already nodding to Ryan. "Go ahead. Show them." Ryan held up the folder and started reading, her own words, loud and clear. "Ethan's clueless. Still pays for everything. Travis is the future." Gasps cut through the room. I stayed steady. "You were cheating long before I ever tested you." "Yeah, I lied about losing my job, but you were already gone by then." Her face drained of color, then flushed red. "That's not true," she snapped, but the tremble in her voice said otherwise. I pulled out my phone, hooked it up to the projector Lena had rigged earlier. On the screen behind me, bank statements popped up, legit transactions, client deals, clean books. "Here's the truth," I said. "My business. It's real. Every dollar. No fraud. Just hard work." The crowd murmured, heads nodding, shifting. The tide was turning. Vanessa lurched forward, drink spilling. "You set me up," she hissed. "You wrecked us." I didn't move. "No, Vanessa. You did that all on your own. Now sign the damn papers and go." She stood there trembling, trying to find her next move, but it never came. She turned and shoved her way through the crowd, disappearing out the door. The room erupted, some clapped, some whispered. Ryan was scribbling like mad, grinning. "This is gold," he said. "Article drops tomorrow. Her story's dead." I gave him a nod, but it didn't feel like a victory. I'd won, but it wasn't the kind of win you celebrate. She dragged me through the mud, forced me to fight ugly, and now it was finally over. I walked out, left the chatter and the clinking glasses behind, and drove home in silence. The next morning, Ryan's headline hit, "Consultant Clears Name. X Exposed." My phone lit up like a fireworks show, clients calling back, new leads pouring in. That coffee shop chain signed by lunchtime, and Seattle Tech even bumped their contract. The business wasn't just safe, it was booming. Tasha texted too. "It's done. She signed last night. Divorce is final." I leaned back in my chair, staring out at the skyline. It was finished. No more Vanessa. No more lies. Just me, and what I'd built. About a week later, I was grabbing a coffee at the same shop where Vanessa had once spotted my Audi, back when appearances mattered to her more than people. "That's where I met Jasmine." She bumped into me, spilled her latte, laughed it off. No drama. No pretense. We talked, easy, natural. She ran a nonprofit. Didn't care about the car, the clients, or the headlines. Just asked how my day was. I asked her out, wasn't sure she'd say yes, but she did. It wasn't love, not yet. But it was something honest.